Hi, my name is Jenny Roche and I am a specialist teacher for Stockport Learning Support Service. I am primary school trained and I am also a specialist lead of education for reading for the Department of Education. I'm also working from home currently and have two young children, one 5 and one 8. At home with me in this time. And this presentation is to support you in how to support a positive reading environment at home that works for your family. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk through today is things that I am trying to implement at home too in this very difficult time. Also, lots of the strategies that you'll hear about in this can certainly be used throughout your child's school journey. So let's have a look. First of all, I'm just going to very quickly talk through some of the research as to why we should be reading, particularly in this very, very challenging time. And this is research taken from the National Research Agency. So reading for pleasure, so that means reading in a fun and relaxed way at home, is really, really important from our very, very youngest children to our older children throughout their primary journey and actually into high school as well, in supporting their cognitive development. So it has gains for other areas of learning if they're reading for pleasure, reading for fun in their maths. There's a lot of influence in maths. And other aspects of their learning too. Reading books that are slightly below their instructional level, so slightly below the level that they are accessing, possibly in school, is highly supportive of their comprehension, which means their understanding of the text. And often we refer to these as familiar books. Your child might have a story that they also constantly want you to read to them. That is okay. That's another kind of familiar reading, and it's really brilliant if they're doing that. So as bored as you might be of reading We're Going on a Bear Hunt for the 15th millionth time, there are significant gains for your child's cognitive development in doing that. Being read to and reading daily really supports their reading identity. But when I talk about reading identity, that means their likes, their dislikes, their understanding of culture, of all sorts of different things. That's their reading identity, and reading supports that their sense of belief. Okay. This chart here, for those of you who are struggling to get in a bit of reading every day, which I totally understand, we're juggling so much at the moment as parents. This is a little chart that my colleague developed, and I've actually been using it with my children, where we look at it and we decide, right, today I'm going to read for 2 minutes to you, Mummy, and then I might read a book in a strange place, which my children absolutely love, or I'm going to read for 10 minutes on my own, and then I'm going to alternate pages with someone in my house. So this is a supportive tool that you could use to support daily reading at home. Also, what can we read? Well, reading is everywhere and it's ingrained in all aspects of our daily life. So actually, when you go for your nice little walk around the green space, as you can see, there's a child here attending to print about the different trees there. Reading magazines as well. They are okay to read as long as they're reading for pleasure. It will support them and their cognition. Reading the signs as you're driving around, modelling that reading, really great. we all know that we're baking at the moment, so reading those recipes, really, really important. It doesn't need to be a straight sit down reading focus. You can read in lots and lots of different ways. So these are some really important key messages for home reading. Choosing the right time and the right place, a time that actually works for you as well as your child. So, for example, if you've got work to do at home and all your jobs are piling up around the house, do it at a time that suits you, when you can focus too. That's really important, so you can give them your full attention, even if it is only for, like on that chart, 2 to 5 minutes. Making sure that as well as them reading, you're reading to your child too, and talking about the book is really, really important, because it helps to develop that comprehension at whatever age they are. So that's even with our really, really young children in nursery. Talking about the book as you're going through it, talking about the pictures. Don't be afraid to help them if they are stuck. And there's a fine line, isn't there, between jumping in too quickly and giving them that time to have a go. But actually, if they are really stuck, it is absolutely fine to tell them the word. For example, if they said house and the word was the, that would be a time to tell them, especially with that word, because it's what we refer to as a tricky word. Particularly for our younger learners, so in nursery, reception, year 1, year 2, playing games, which I'll talk to you about in a little while, if they're getting really stuck on the same words. So my 5-year-old is in reception. She's really struggling with words that begin with W, went, will, was. So I'm playing lots and lots of games with those words with her to try and support her to apply those to text. Look at the pictures in the new book before you start to talk about the book. So that really helps them to gain that overarching sense of what the story is about. And actually it really supports problem solving. Make a prediction before you read the text. Even modelling your own predictions if it's something that you've not read before, that would really support them. Giving them some cues if they do get stuck on a word, particularly for some of our younger learners. Asking them, what does the word begin with? Can you blend the sound? Does it sound right? Does it make sense? That's a really, really, really important one. Because if they're not listening to themselves as they're reading, their problem solving is going to suffer. And so noticing those things is really great. And ask questions about the book, the poem, the story, and praise your child if they're asking questions. Because good readers ask questions to themselves as they're reading, even if they're 3. It's a really, really important skill. So asking questions, please praise it. It will support them. So I'm going to talk you through some strategies that good readers do. And these are some strategies that you can refer to either prompt your child with if they're stuck, or remind them to use before they do some independent reading. So, looking at the pictures, it's not cheating if they look at the pictures. Actually, it's very, very skilled, and that's a strategy that we definitely want to promote with children. Often, if children aren't looking at the pictures and they're very, very focused on just the words, they're not going to have that comprehension. So it's really important that if you notice them looking at the pictures, you say, well done, that's brilliant. Sliding through the word. This refers to breaking the word apart and blending it back together. Again, a really effective strategy, but just notice if they're doing it a little bit too much, because actually if they're doing it too much, they're doing it for every word or every other word, then remind them to listen to themselves. It's always a worry if a child is too heavily focused on the word information in terms of their comprehension. This one, jump or skip a word, this is perhaps more for Key Stage 2 children or Year 2 children, jumping a word or skipping a word. So if they really don't know what the word is, reading the rest of the sentence and then going back, using their listening to help them figure out what it might mean, okay? Getting your mouth ready for the first sound. This refers to segmenting the letters or digraphs, so sounds within the word. A really important strategy. Reread it. Does it sound right? Does it make sense? Again, really important in terms of comprehension, even with our reception children. If you're noticing they're rereading, that is great problem solving in context of the text. So please praise that strategy. It's really important. We've talked about this a little bit. Again, spell out the word. That's the phrase you could use. Spell out the word, please. To help them hear the individual sounds or within that word. Often children, particularly our younger children, will get confused between some of the vowel sounds. So O, O, A, F, E, O, U. So it's really important you just remind them the alternate one is appropriate. Using rhyming again. So for this picture here, right, I know the word dog, I can work out what frog is. We call that phonological awareness, and it is really, if they're doing that, that's great, because they're really listening. And again, chunking that links to breaking up words effectively. So instead of going if, they'd go into. Praising that's really effective, breaking words apart to hear sounds. You'll also receive these two strategy prompts to help you. These are particularly useful to refer to if you have younger children in reception or Key Stage 1, or if your child has SEND. These are really great strategies to refer to if they're doing their individual reading. So, what can you do at home? I'm just going to summarise now. Ensure your child is reading the books they've got at home with a little and often relaxed approach. And then there's just 3 key things here. Taking it in turn to read the pages when you need as appropriate. Noticing what they're doing well. So rereading words, stopping, making comments, self-correcting, praise this. These are really great strategies that we want them to do again and again and again. And that's why we need to praise it, so we know to use it again. Talk through the book before you read and after you read. This will help their overarching problem solving and text understanding. So I mentioned to you before that my daughter was struggling with some words that had a visual similarity, so words that start with W. So these 3 websites, Twinkl, Softbox and PES, have loads of really great high frequency word games that you could use, particularly for our younger children or SEND children, in supporting their working memory to be able to visually analyse that word very quickly. These 3 games in particular predominantly have what we call tricky words in, so words that we just need to know by looking at. And yeah, building up their high frequency words is a really great way you can support them, as well as hearing them read and reading to them. As well as there's some online resources here of different audio stories. My daughter in year 3 is listening to Storynory every single night at the moment. It's another great way to get in that volume of hearings being read to. David Walliams as well is doing some great online reads, so please check that out as well. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate your time. If you do have any other questions or comments, please get in touch with the Learning Support Service. We'd love to hear from you.